So on the 30th of October, I think.
On the 13th of November 2020, did you leave Downing Street and never return?
Correct.
And you left Downing Street under the control of a man whom you described yourself as unfit for office.
Hello there my friends, and I do hope you're all well, and do you think this amazing 10-minute video exposes how unfit Boris Johnson was as Prime Minister, and also how unfit Dominic Cummings was to be anywhere near power as well?
Would you agree that there was in the government of which you played a major part an orgy of narcissism?
Certainly there was.
You run a blog, do you not?
Yes.
On the 5th of July 2021, 273905, so about 5 or 6 months later, you said, I and my team worked with Boris in the referendum. Some of us worked with him, officially or unofficially, between the referendum and summer 2019. We knew his skills and his weaknesses. We knew he was, in any objective sense, unfit to be Prime Minister. We also knew that he knew too, since he'd told us. Is that your blog?
It is.
Elsewhere in your blog, do you say things like, self-aware Boris knows that normal Boris cannot manage, cannot focus. He won't read papers. He cannot chair meetings to save his life.
Yes. Is that a question?
Did you say that in your blog?
Sounds familiar.
In your statement, did you say that he couldn't chair meetings, stick to a plan, or build a high-performance team?
For sure.
Whether right or wrong, Mr. Cummings, and the inquiry will, of course, hear from Mr. Johnson, will make its own mind up, you helped to put him there, did you not?
Sure.
You contributed to his election campaign in December of 19. You were his chief, perhaps, advisor. But even after that general election, in the early days of the administration in January 2020, as you subsequently told journalists, you said, we were having meetings in number 10. By the summer, either we'll all have gone from here, or we will be in the process of trying to get rid of him and get someone else in as Prime Minister. Did you say that?
Yeah.
So you helped to put into power and to sustain someone who was, in your view, and I emphasize it's your view, the inquiry's reached no view, somebody who was unfit to respond to the extraordinary difficult demands of a pandemic.
Correct.
Are you sorry?
No, because I think that you have to, politics is about choices. And the choice that we had in summer 2019 was, do we allow the whole situation, this once-century constitutional crisis to continue, melt down, and possibly see Jeremy Corbyn as PM and a second referendum on Brexit, which we thought would be catastrophic for the country and for democracy, for faith in democracy, or to roll the dice on Boris and to try and control him and build a team around him that could control him. And that was we didn't take that choice lightly. We considered in summer 19 an alternative of staying out of it. But we thought the combination of second referendum and Corbyn was so bad that we should roll the dice.
Perhaps in deference to your support, he supported you when the Barnard Castle affair exploded in Easter 2020, did he not?
Yes.
For health and security reasons, you drove from London to Durham over the weekend of the 27th to the 29th of March at the height of the lockdown with your wife and child, correct?
It's the 27th of Friday, yes.
I don't know when you drove, but it was over the weekend, the 27th to the 29th.
That was the night of that Friday, the day that the PM got COVID.
In your statement, you say that the Prime Minister knew that you had moved your family out of London, but his WhatsApp messages, 226, 225...
Excellent dissecting, isn't it? Let me know down below what you think, and if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. What harm can it do? But anyway, back to the dissecting.
Are adamant that you never told him that you'd gone to Durham during the lockdown, and he only discovered when the stories started to come in. (226, 225, page 22). Whether or not you told him, on the 12th of April, you drove 25 miles to Barnard Castle to test your eyesight. Yes?
So,
Did you drive to Barnard Castle?
are you asking about the whole thing or just about the 12th?
I want to ask you about Barnard Castle on the 12th of April.
Yes, I
Did you
went.
drive there?
Yes.
Did you take your wife and your child in that car?
Yes.
Why did you need them in the car to be able to drive to test your eyesight?
Because, well, as I explained to MPs a couple of
No,
years ago,
just tell
I'd-
us, please.
I am. So in the days up until the 12th, of course, the PM was increasingly sick. I was getting messages from Lee Kane and others about the diabolical
Cummings,
situation.
Why
I-
did you, excuse me,
Sorry, you asked me to answer the question, so I'm answering the
why
question.
did you take your wife and child in that car to enable you to test your eyesight?
As I was saying, I was asked to go down, to drive back down to London because of the terrible situation with the government. I had intended to go the day before on Saturday, but I was too ill to do so. On the 12th, I thought, right, I'll drive down the road, drive back, see how I feel, and if I feel okay, then I'll drive back the next day. Back to
Why
London,
did you
back
have
to
to
London, I
have-
mean.
Why did you have to have your wife and child in the car to assist you to drive down the road?
Well, obviously, I didn't have to have them in the car.
That day, the 12th of April, was it your wife's birthday?
It was.
Was it Easter Sunday?
I think so.
You recognise, of course, that confidence in the United Kingdom government's handling of the epidemic collapsed after that matter came to light and after your press conference in the Rose Garden.
I think so. It was certainly a disaster, the whole handling of the situation, but there were other factors involved with it all as well. Testing and PPE and many other things were all going haywire at the time.
Do you accept that your behaviour, whether a breach of the rules or not, caused immeasurable offence and additional pain to the bereaved?
Well, I'd had to move my family out of the house. I'd had to call on police because of incidents at my house, which I discussed with the police and with the Prime Minister and with the Deputy Cabinet Secretary. So in terms of moving my family out of the house for security reasons, no, it was completely reasonable and agreed by everybody at the time to be reasonable.
However, the 12th of April and the drive to Barnard Castle, about which you spoke at great length in that press conference, do you acknowledge it caused immeasurable offence and additional pain to the bereaved who were unable to see their own loved one die?
Yes, I think the way that we handled it was an absolute car crash and a disaster, and did cause a lot of people pain.
I'm not concerned with the handling, the aftermath of that event. I'm asking you, do you accept that that apparent breach of the rules caused enormous offence and pain to the people in this country whose loved ones were dying?
No, I think we're talking about two different things. I think the handling of it was a disaster and caused huge trouble and huge pain to a lot of people, and I very much regret and have already apologised for how badly Number 10 handled the whole thing. But in terms of my actual actions in going north and then coming back down, I acted entirely reasonably and legally and did not break any rules.
In July of 2020, you had agreed to leave on Friday the 18th of December, correct?
Oh, what, sorry?
In July of 2020, you agreed with Mr Johnson that you would leave government in December.
I wouldn't say exactly agreed, but I told him at the end of July that that was my intention, yes.
By September, you describe your relations with him as knackered.
Yes.
On the 13th of November, with the country on the cusp of a devastating second wave, you left work for the weekend. You never returned, did you?
So on the 30th of October, I
On
think.
13th of November
30th of November.
2020, did you leave
Yes.
Downing Street and never return?
Correct.
And you left Downing Street under the control of a man whom you described yourself as unfit for office. Thank you.
Now, was that not only enlightening, but also not surprising? The cross-examination of our Dominic Cummings not only exposed him as being the narcissist that he is, but because everything he said from Jeremy Corbyn to Barnard Castle showed how drunk on power I suppose he was. But what he said about our spaffer, every rational, intelligent person will not be surprised, will we? But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. And I shall just bid you farewell and take care, my friends.